Pokemon Diamond and Pearl marked the first time that the Pokemon games, the proper Pokemon games, have appeared on the Nintendo DS after dominating on the original Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance. This is a really accessible RPG, it's got a really fun character to it, and it adds just enough new stuff that fans are going to love it. To be clear, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl are pretty much functionally the same game. This really just targeted to people who gotta catch them all. If you're one of those, you're gonna have to get both because there are a few Pokemon in each, both Diamond and Pearl, that are unique to each of those games. So the story starts off in pretty predictable fashion. You play as either a young boy or a young girl living in a little out-of-the-way hamlet in the Sinnoh region, and you go out into the world and you fight. You fight wild Pokemon, you fight other Pokemon trainers, and so on and so forth. This is pretty much how the past Pokemon games have played out. So in this regard, it's not that different. The combat's still turn-based. You still have one Pokemon versus another one. Sometimes you can do 2-on-2. And it's very much about the rock, paper, scissors nature of the different types of Pokemon there are. There's just enough different types of Pokemon for you to obsess over this endlessly. And that is really just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to do in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl that it is mind-bending. There's just so much to do in the game, and that's apart from the fact that the story in the game is really, really long. It's easy to sink a good 40 hours into the game just going through the main story, and you can definitely keep playing beyond that. So the big question is, what's new in Diamond and Pearl? Well, since it's on the DS now, there's a bit of touchscreen interaction. You can now use the stylus on the touchscreen to select all your menu options when you're in combat. You'll use the touchscreen in a variety of different mini-games that, while mildly amusing, they aren't that central to the experience. So the touchscreen stuff, not that big a deal. The games do make better use of the DS hardware in the presentation of it. Though these games are still largely 2D in presentation, you'll notice while you're walking around towns that the buildings are all polygonal, which kind of gives an interesting perspective to the game. The presentation is just really great to look at because it is so vibrant, the colors look so good, and there's just a lot of really great detail to the world and to the Pokemon themselves. There's also still some holdover stuff. You can tell there's a lot of recycled art from past Pokemon games, which is a little bit disappointing because you can see and tell which parts are new and which parts are old, and there's a little bit of a clash there, which is too bad. This is also true in the sound. A lot of the music is fantastic, but unfortunately a lot of the sounds that the Pokemon themselves make sound like they've just been recycled from perhaps even the original Game Boy game, and they just sound really staticky and don't have much definition. Though probably what's going to have Pokemon fans most excited about Diamond and Pearl is proper internet play. You can now play against other people, you can battle your Pokemon over the internet, and you can also trade your Pokemon in sort of a eBay style system where you can post a Pokemon, say you want to trade it, say what you want to trade it for, and you don't even have to have your DS on to be able to do the trade, which is a really nice, slick feature. Pokemon Diamond and Pearl also offer voice chat. They'll take advantage of the brand new headset for the Nintendo DS so that you can talk some smack to the folks that you're fighting against while you're playing over the internet. Unfortunately, you do need to use friend codes if you're going to be chatting with people. This is kind of Nintendo's way of filtering out the crazy people from talking to the kids that they don't want them talking to. Which an understandable safeguard to put in there, but still it kind of limits the functionality and the appeal of the voice chat thing. Though really, what are you going to say to someone when you're playing Pokemon against them? Hey, my Pokemon just hit your Pokemon, what's up now? So despite the addition of stuff like the touchscreen support, better presentation, and all this internet stuff, it's kind of surprising how long-lasting the Pokemon franchise has been because at its core, these games have all been really the same. And a lot of that just has to do with the fact that these are really well-made games and the fundamentals are just really addictive and really stand up well. So if you're a first-timer, if you're a long-standing fan, Diamond and Pearl do what Pokemon games do best, which is just provide a really satisfying, really accessible, and really, really long-lasting RPG experience.